Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. This video is meant to be the start of a discussion, at least in this venue. I was in Skype the other day with a couple other YouTubers. We were having a conversation and we were talking about the defense planning that you see in various different videos, and somebody brought up Southern Prepper 1s. Actually, it was Ironhead 41, and he said about his video, he made a video response to Southern Prepper 1s saying, in essence, that the defense that was being laid out in Southern Prepper 1's video would not work in Ironhead 41's situation. So we were talking about this, and the conversation was going around, and by the end of that conversation, Ironhead asked me to make a video about this, said I should make a video about this, and that he would make a response and we would have the conversation where everybody can benefit from it. So here it is. The basic premise is this. I think that learning about defense in general is something every one of us who's prepping needs to do. Learning at least very basic tactics is something that we all need to do. But more importantly, I think that we don't need to limit ourselves to learning the tactics that are specific to the kind of situation we anticipate being in. The reason for that is manyfold. One reason is that you don't know what situation you're going to find yourself in. You might think, like myself, my plan is to be in the middle of an urban environment, but I don't know what's going to happen. It could be that if there were a breakdown situation, myself and those that I'm working with are forced to leave Philadelphia. We're just forced to migrate out. We have no choice. Now we find ourselves in a suburban or even a rural environment. Well, if all I've learned is the tactics that are good for my environment, I'm screwed, right? We're all screwed. If every one of us has focused like a laser beam in on only defending very specifically an urban environment, if all of our thinking processes have gone this way and we're no longer in that environment, we're in a world of hurt, right? So why wouldn't I at least learn the basics of strategy, tactics, defense, offense in other environments? I mean, I think learning the philosophies, the basic rules of these kinds of engagement is solid anyway. You're going to be able to apply it anywhere. But further, not only is it possible that any of us, all of us, wind up in environments that we had no idea we were going to wind up in. Not only is that very possible in the event of something so catastrophic and chaotic as a breakdown of the rule of law in the most powerful nation on the planet. Not only is that possible, but you never know what information you think may not be relevant to you that is going to be relevant to you later. Look, think about it like this. The guy who first sat down, or gal, whatever, who first sat down and made glass, probably had no idea that however many thousands of years in the future, this camera that I'm talking over goes over fiberglass cables, fiber optics. That guy had no idea where that was going to go. Just because something is specifically created intentionally or initially for X application, that doesn't mean that's the only application it's good for. You might learn something, you're ignoring these strategies. If you're going to be, say your plan is to be out in the middle of nowhere. You guys, your plan is to be off on a farm somewhere or a homestead someplace that you guys have set up and made arrangement for. And you think, I really don't need to think about urban tactics, guerrilla tactics in an urban environment. Well, one, those tactics you might need because you might wind up in a populated area at some point for some reason. And they might save your life, first off. But more importantly, Just because a tactic is made specifically for an urban environment doesn't mean that's the only place it's applicable. You might find that with a little bit of adaptation, this tactic, that thought process, this philosophy can be molded or applied in a new way, in a new situation that it wasn't intended for when it was made or when you learned it. Discarding any knowledge in your preparation, I think, is a big mistake. Not just in defense. That's just the example we're going to use in this conversation. But, in everything. Don't think, well, I don't have to learn anything about, wind energy. I don't need to learn about that because I'm going solar. Well, what if a storm comes, some freak storm comes and rips all your solar panels off your roof after a breakdown? Well, if you haven't learned about wind energy, you have no chance of going out there scrounging up a motor off a washing machine and trying to cobble together some form of power so you can keep that radio working. Don't discard knowledge, even if it's not specifically what you're doing. But, the example here is defense. Look, you never know. You never know what situation you're going to find yourself in if this goes down. I would venture to say that the overwhelming majority of us who are planning, it's not going to go that way, man. The overwhelming majority of us are going to wind up in a situation that is not what we planned on. So plan on that. Pray to God, but row for sure. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Whatever saying works for you. But don't discard any knowledge that isn't, laser beam focused on your situation. Because I think you're going to not live too long, but you'll probably live just long enough to regret the hell out of that choice. So there's the start of the conversation. Ironhead 41. I'm going to throw this your way, and not just him, man. Anybody else that wants to hop in, hey, maybe Landshark 22, man. Maybe you'll make a video. You haven't made it in a while. Mike. And look, any of you guys, Lamb Dog, man, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Southern Prepper 1. I don't know, if you watch my channel very much, but I'd love to hear all your thoughts on this. I think this is a conversation that we should have. I think we need a lot of conversations, but specifically on defense, I think, look, a lot of people are lacking. There's a lack of information out there. I made that video about Southern Prepper 1 because he's providing schooling to those of us who do not have that knowledge. And it's a whole different duck, man, to sit and read a manual than it is to watch this man on the screen showing you with diagrams and explaining things to you. Maybe not everybody else, but that sure gives me so much more information than I could get from just looking at a manual. You guys that are limiting yourself, I think you need to not limit yourself. I think everybody needs to sit back and look at the bigger picture and realize any place in that picture might be where you wind up at some point during a breakdown. So prepare that way. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.